All right. I'm going to be cheering on the French right now. That's right. I'm going to give kudos to Emmanuel Macron. But first, we're going to go back in time a little bit. Remember, this was in the run-up to the Iraq War. Everybody wanted to get on board. Democrats had to have another hearing in Congress because they wanted to vote for it. Every newspaper in the country, yes, it's something we need to do. Saddam, got to go after Saddam Hussein and yellow cake and weapons of mass destruction. And we all know how that turned out and the mess that we caused over there. But you also remember at the time, it was Jacques Chirac was the president of France. Jacques Chirac was the president of France, and he wasn't into going into Iraq. He didn't want to participate. And the talking heads in particular on Fox, Bill O'Reilly. Oh, my God. Going after the French and Jacques Chirac, and they should be sticking with George W. Bush. And remember he decided to call French fries freedom fries? Freedom fries! Yeah, man, get her done! Anyway, I'm giving kudos to the French today. I'm giving kudos to French President Emmanuel Macron because he's showing certainly greater intestinal fortitude than members of our Congress have, our politicians have, more intestinal fortitude than most of these people that want to run for the presidency, members of the Senate. He's doing what needs to be done, and he's raising the retirement age in France. Here's a story from the Wall Street Journal. Special provision, France's constitution, Emmanuel Macron used to bypass parliament and increase the country's retirement age. There's been street protests, there's been strikes, there's been all this stuff going on. And this is just to raise, to raise the retirement age 2 years? I think it's 62 to 64, if I'm not mistaken. It's not like it's that big of a deal. The use of Article 49 of the French Constitution allows the Macron government to enact a overhaul of France's pension system after it struggled to cobble together enough votes in Parliament. But the maneuver comes at high political price. Protesters and opposition parties have painted Mr. Macron as authoritarian now and more ammunition to mobilize the masses. Listen, if you don't think that members of Parliament are for this, they are. What Macron did is he bailed them out. He said, you know what? I'll take the heat. I'll absorb the bullets. I'll take all the shots on this one because it needs to be done. Again, from 62 to 64. That's it. There was a story the other day in the Wall Street Journal talking about some of these retirees and French pension system is off the charts. It blows away what we're getting here, but they're running out of money. They like all Ponzi schemes, okay? You need to have people to continue to pay into it in order for the Ponzi scheme to keep going, and they don't have the workers in the same way that we don't here. So changes need to be made. Yet our fearless leaders in Washington, D.C., when this issue comes up, no, we can't do anything. Everything's going to be fine. I'm going to protect Social Security. Again, I go after George W. Bush all the time and just went after his stupid adventure in Iraq. And again, this is one of the reasons why we didn't get Social Security reform in his second term. And I remember, staying up and waiting, remember they had to wait for the next day for that elections too. Kerry was contesting, I think, Ohio or something like that. Anyway, he gave a speech, and I remember what he said. He said, we have political capital and we're going to spend it. I remember he said that. I remember he was thanking the architect, Karl Rove. And he didn't have the political capital. Why didn't he have the political capital, even though he had Congress? He didn't have the political capital because of Iraq. He went to, I remember, I did protests outside of Social Security offices, AARP and stupid Social Security groups jumping up and down because they don't understand what the hell they're talking about. He wanted to do a partial privatization for young people for Social Security, which again, if you actually are the slightest bit read on this topic and how Social Security was started, FDR suggests the same thing. Yeah. The Democrats, they don't tell you that, but yeah, FDR knew that Social Security was, in essence, a Ponzi scheme and was going to need to change over the years. George W. Bush proposed that. Mitch McConnell went to his office one day and said, "Sorry, George, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. We've got to spend too much political capital in Iraq." So again, it's another victim of the stupid Iraq war was entitlement reform, Social Security reform. Bush might have been able to get something done. Who knows? But the reality of our situation is cuts are coming. Cuts are coming. And both political parties, they just choose to ignore the problem. If you think you're going to be able to go when these automatic 20% cuts are going to be coming in 10 years, if you think you're all of a sudden going to be able to raise taxes on people, it's not going to happen. Hey, you think younger people are going to go for paying more in taxes just after they saw major cuts, knowing that they're going to get paid less because of this? There's certain demographic changes that you have to deal with. You go take a look when Social Security was originally put together and what the mortality rate was at that time. Come on, people. People are living longer and healthier lives. And the overall mortality here in the United States has dropped. And that's obviously due to COVID, and not so much due to COVID, but due to the drug problem that we have. You're losing 100,000, for the most part, young people a year. That's going to skew your numbers, to say the least. But again, we know the medical advances. We know what happened. You got to get to 70. You got to get to 80. I mean, it's just the reality of the situation. To expect, a government program to provide for people for 2.5, 3 decades. It's a bit much, my friends. It's a bit much. And again, I wish cooler heads would prevail and actually we could have some sort of conversation to actually try to solve a problem rather than just try to ignore it. WatchDog on WallStreet.com.